It's Rob Rock right here on your classic metal show from the Holy Hell release that is the title track. And just before that, we heard some more brutality from Pantera with the Great Southern Trendkill.
Right.
And that was a request, Chris, one of our fans, Alec. He wanted to hear some Pantera.
I thought you were washing the day off from my request.
No, it had nothing to do with that. I didn't mind that song at all. That Honeymoon Suite.
Yeah, it wasn't one of their softer ones. At least it had some good guitar riff in it. So not like the Great Southern Trendkill, but it had some guitar riff in it.
Well, I realized that the Great Southern Trendkill is definitely the model for what Phil is doing with his illegals.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he definitely got his start getting heavier there. Really, I would say that was kind of the lead into Superjoint, kind of like the direction that Superjoint ended up taking. And then the illegals kind of built and got even heavier off of the Superjoint model.
Yeah.
Yeah. Phil can do no wrong for me. Phil's
a very talented guy. I mean, his ability, especially as to how fucked up he was at some point with, being so far gone with the drugs and whatnot. But man, I'll tell you what, his talent, as far as his aggressive singing style and his performance and energy and all that,
right?
He's unparalleled in that regard,
Yeah, there's nobody that ever never did it with as much intensity as that guy in so many different projects. That was always the weird thing with him is, every one of his projects was good. If you liked Pantera and if you liked Phil, Pantera, Superjoint, Illegals, Down, whatever, they're all solid projects for, and it never wavered with him, man. Always good stuff.
Yeah, I agree. Well, anyway, since we're doing this video, radio, streaming, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
We you and I have been involved with, especially the online streaming stuff since 2000, even earlier, I think 99.
Right.
And, here we are 20 years removed from that. And technology is where it's at, to where now you can watch a live, for lack of a better term, television show of us doing our thing. And, obviously there were other shows that were doing this early on, but they had the backing of big money, be it Howard Stern, who he had his show. That was kind of a new concept at that time back in the 90s when he was doing the radio show. And, it came on late at night, and, for the most part, it was fairly uncensored.
Yeah, it was.
So to be able to see Howard Stern live in the studio and having all the camera angles and seeing all the guests come in and, just basically watching radio on your television.
Yeah.
That was a big deal. I remember how many people were always talking, did you see the Howard Stern show on E?
Yeah, I watched it religiously.
Of course.
I loved it.
It was new. It was exciting technology for the time.
Yeah.
So that was kind of groundbreaking. And then, IMUS, some of these, I guess you would call them news organizations. Was IMUS on in the morning on what was he on,
MSNBC or something?
Yeah, exactly. So they started doing the in-studio broadcast, the live radio stuff on some of these cable channels and whatnot. Right. But, the thing that the common denominator behind all of that was they had money behind it.
Right.
They had the technology and the money. And, here Chris and I are now doing this with 2 small webcams. And Chris and I were talking today when we were doing the little testing and we brought this up on the show before, and our friend from down there in Louisiana, who's actually in broadcast television, who chimes in every now and again.
Yeah.
Well, we're at the point now, because commercial television, be it your local stations or network TV, is dying. It has been dying.
Sure.
And they have to do everything in their power to cut expenses, because they're certainly not as popular as they used to be, because there's so many more alternative things like watching this show than, than watching commercial television. So we were discussing, and we had discussed on the show before, about how these, on the scene reporters, they used to go out there with a satellite truck or a the microwave truck.
Yeah.
And send the video back to the studio. But now they're just doing it with their iPhone. They're just holding their iPhone up and go, yeah, we're out here on the scene at this terrible car accident out here. It's got traffic all snarled up.
Yep.
And they're just holding their iPhone up there and broadcasting it back to the studio.
Yeah, dude, it's the same. This software that I'm using is called StreamYard, and again, I'll thank Toomey for turning me onto it, because it's really fucking great. But I don't know if I told you this or not, but I installed to check it out, that the new NBC pay for stream, whatever you call it, the channel, the Peacock channel.
Okay.
On my Apple TV, because they said that it's got free content as well as premium content. So I wanted to check it out and see what was free. And specifically, I wanted to see if they were going to broadcast live in case I decide to watch any football games or something. I could watch it there instead of fucking with my antenna. But I was playing around with it, and I went over to the sports section, like, of their thing, and I watched a couple of videos of, that guy Mike Florio that does the Pro Football Talk on NBC.
Can't say that I do.
He's an NBC guy. I mean, that's what he's an NBC sports guy.
All right.
And I was watching his broadcast. He's doing his broadcast with this same exact software. Had the same exact, I mean, obviously it wasn't cleaned up to the CMS thing, but he had the logo in the same place, be in the same size, and he had the same screen and everything. And the only thing he didn't have was a camera as good as mine or yours. He looked like he was doing it through the webcam that comes on his fucking shitty MacBook Pro.
It probably does.
Yeah, he probably didn't invest. He couldn't. He's on TV playing for millions of people, and he can't invest $100 in a camera.
Well, that's what we were talking about early on when this pandemic thing hit, and these live broadcasters were doing their shit from home.
Yeah.
And it's just like you couldn't, go to Best Buy and have them deliver a decent camera to your house if you had to stay at home and do your weather report or your broadcast from your house.
You and I have both bought cameras. This camera that I'm using right now is the Logitech C922. I believe it was $89.
Okay.
And you're using what? The Brio, right? The
Brio, and I got that for $149.
And 100, so $150, and that's pretty much as top end as it gets without buying a television quality camera. But I would say this is television quality after watching Mike Florio from NBC do a dog shit version of it.
Yeah.
It's amazing to me. The guy plays for millions of people, and he's doing it on a fucking shitty 1 megapixel MacBook Pro camera.
Yeah.
Lame.
Well, this goes back, and I still laugh about this, that thing you brought to the show way back in March, where, what was it, your local radio guys were talking about how much technology, and man, there's just so much going on here. I have to try to do this. It's just like, dude, it's not that hard.
It's way too hard, man.
Yeah, but I had everybody else doing this for me.
Right.
Well, it's a different world we live in.
Yeah. Learn, stupid.
Yeah. Well, you had sent over an excellent article here, and the reason I brought this up was because of where we are with these big corporate conglomerates.
Yeah.
And the value that they may or may not have, just due to the fact that technology is basically wiping out the big corporations with the whole broadcasting thing. Because again, if you're watching us tonight, you see that we can do this.
Yeah.
and actually make it look good and make it look quality, and the audio quality, the video quality, everything's as good as television.
Yeah. If we would just not swear and do woke think instead of wrong think, we could be on TV right now.
Yep.
With this setup.
Well, apparently, one man now controls Live Nation, iHeartRadio, Sirius XM, Ticketmaster, and Pandora.
One guy.
Yeah.
So basically, whatever political leaning he has is what you're going to get from everything in commercial media.
Yeah.
Unreal.
Mm-hmm. Well, years ago, and this was when I was in broadcasting school back in the mid 90s.
Mm-hmm.
Years ago, there was basically a statute or a law that any broadcast media or any kind of media could not own more than 2 media outlets in any market.
Right.
That being like 2 radio stations, 1 radio station, 1 TV station, so on and so forth. Well, then when Clinton was in office, he signed a bill that made it unlimited to any media company, because basically when it came to radio, conservative radio,
yeah,
it always does better than liberal talk.
Sure, every
time.
does.
It still does. Even when satellite radio came on board, I think the libs try to have their own station called Air America, and that failed miserably.
Yeah, it went off in no time.
Yeah, nobody cares. Libs are not educated people.
Well, yeah.
They're so smug in their thoughts that people don't want to learn. But when it comes to conservative talk radio, be it Rush Limbaugh or Mark Levin or a Sean Hannity or a Savage or whoever, they get big numbers.
Yeah, well, Republicans or right-leaning people, they actually care enough about their values to try and fight for their values, where left-leaning people, they don't give a fuck about their values, so they just they don't support anything that actually preaches them.
Nope. So there have been liberal talk show people out there who had shows, but they never do the numbers. They never do well at all, because nobody cares. Mm-hmm. But anyway, since then, these big corporate companies have been able to merge and all be part of one. Well, the Justice Department has approved billionaire John Malone's takeover of iHeartMedia, which was in bankruptcy.
Right.
And he now controls the music industry from the root to the fruit.
Yeah.
The Justice Department has greenlit a proposal by Liberty Media to increase its holdings in iHeartMedia. Right. iHeartMedia is the owner of the nation's largest collection of broadcast radio stations. Now, you remember, fuck those liberal cunts. If you remember back in the 90s, when Live Nation, it was even before Live Nation, it was Clear Channel.
Mm-hmm.
And they were buying up all the venues and they were buying up all the radio stations. I remember when they came into Cleveland, they basically swallowed up almost all the radio stations in Cleveland.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, it's like, only because I'm familiar with the market, all the radio stations in Cleveland were owned by a bunch of they were all competitors is what they were.
Sure.
And, when they were able to buy more than one station, Clear Channel came in, they bought up like 8 or 10 stations and they all housed them in that one building that's up there on in Independence.
Yeah, Oak Tree Road. Yeah, Oak Tree.
Yeah. And they're all in one building, and you go, and I went to that building and visited there one time, and you walk into this corridor And well, there's WMMS, there's whatever, there's you walk down and you just point the different studios out and it goes, well, that's the country station, that's the rock station, that's the talk station, and it's all in one building on one floor in one corridor.
Yeah, it was, dude, not to get off the point, but that's how I ended up meeting Jennifer Love Hewitt, was because I was up there doing the metal show when we were on MMS. And she was in another studio doing Kiss FM or whatever that was called at the time, the pop station. And she was there. And I just kind of, I ran into her and I was like, ooh, Jennifer Love Hewitt. Fuck yeah. So I went up and said hello to her. And I told her, it's funny because I told her I loved her album. And she looked at me with my Slayer t-shirt on and she was like, you don't fucking listen to what I listen to or what music I make. And then I started quoting songs from her disc and she's like, oh my God, really?
Yeah.
You know this stuff? But yeah, that was the way that station was set up. It was like 10 stations or 7 stations or whatever in one hallway.
Yeah.
So yeah, of course the views all sort of leaned the same way because everybody was in the same fucking workspace.
Yeah. And, and the thing about that is that they were able to eliminate, all the sales staff because they had one sales staff that sold commercial, time for all the stations.
Right.
So instead of having any competitors in the market, it was just one big company, Clear Channel.
Yeah.
And then, once technology started, becoming more popular with the podcast and whatnot, Clear Channel went broke because they bought all those properties. They bought all those radio stations and then people stopped listening to radio. It's just like, yeah, fuck this. There's podcasts to listen to. There's Spotify. There's Pandora. There's, iTunes.
I think a ton of people gravitated to XM and Sirius.
They did.
And people loved that for a while. And then the podcasting came out of the Sirius or the Sirius and XM. And that's when everybody just was like, you know what? Enough of this fucking nonsense. It still amazes me though, how many people fucking still listen to commercial radio.
I don't, but the thing is that these properties are becoming less and less and less valuable. I mean,
oh yeah.
A couple years ago here in the Chicago market, one of the biggest, rock stations in the country, next to like MMS, it was was WLUP, the Loop.
Right. Sure.
And they no longer exist. They're a Christian radio station now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So one of the biggest rock stations in the 3rd largest market in the United States no longer exists because it just wasn't worth shit. It's not that they did anything great because, their programming was horrific because they played the same, 40 songs,
right.
Over and over again. So you could hear Leonard Skinner, Freebird, or, Van Halen Running with the Devil every 3rd hour.
Right.
Whatever, but just terrible. But so this guy, this big billionaire guy, he owns now, the, iHeart, which used to be Clear Channel.
Right.
Live Nation, which is the live component with of course, we've covered Live Nation a million times and we got more Live Nation news tonight, as a matter of fact. And, now he owns Sirius XM. And he owns, the streaming music service Pandora. Unbelievable. The expansion was authorized by federal antitrust prosecutors Wednesday. The deal allows Liberty Media to expand its share of iHeartMedia by up to 50%. The company currently holds a 5% stake in iHeartMedia, the company that controls more than 850 AM and FM stations, as well as the streaming service iHeartRadio.
Right.
The company is currently the planet's biggest commercial publisher of podcasts. Our podcast didn't do shit on iHeartMedia.
No, not really. Yeah. And then we got kicked off, didn't we?
Yeah, we got kicked off, but who cares? We hardly did any traffic.
We really didn't do a lot of traffic on iHeart.
No. Liberty Media is owned by billionaire John Malone, who was famously referred to by Al Gore as Darth Vader. Known for his expansionist and aggressive business tactics, Malone drew scrutiny in recent years for his support of horrors of horrors, Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Well, this guy's a dead man. He liked Donald Trump. Fuck that guy. I hate him. Let's cancel him somehow.
Yeah.
Malone donated $250,000 to the Trump inauguration.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Unlikely that a businessman donates a big chunk of money to whoever's in power at that time.
Yeah.
Just dumb. That's what business people do. It doesn't matter who's in power. If who's ever got the big stick at the time, that's who you throw some money at.
Well, and the reason you do is so that they stay away from you and your business.
Of course,
they're not doing it. Trust me when I tell you, this guy, what's his name? Malone?
Yeah, Malone.
Malone sure ain't doing it because he's like, you know what? I believe in Donald's policies. He's doing it for one fucking reason. If he gets in trouble, he's got the president on his speed dial.
Yeah.
That's why he's donating money. I guarantee you he donated to whoever the other candidate was at the time too, Hillary.
Or if he gets in trouble and the FCC is looking at him, he can kind of count on the administration, say, hey, kind of lay off this guy. He's a donor.
Of course.
That's how it works. I'm sorry. That's how it works.
Yep.
Malone owns a controlling portion of the U.S. biggest satellite radio service, Sirius XM. Okay, well, I get that. Rock and roll cola. I like when DJs have control of things and they play the album cuts that are obscure and give airplay to current product by veteran acts. Cool enough.
Yep.
I think Tom Petty had a song about the last American DJ or something like that kind of talked about that.
Yeah.
Anyway, this would include control of Ticketmaster. Boy, the largest ticketing platform on the planet is yet to be seen how this move aids the solvency of the already ailing Live Nation business. As said in the space previously, Live Nation has always maintained their position through the domination rather than innovation. That's absolutely true.
Wow.
That's true.
It is true, but wow. What a statement in an article, huh?
Yeah. Well, you know what? It's about time people start being honest about shit.
Yeah.
That's why we're so goddamn popular.
Yeah, we're stars.
Yeah, we're big. We're big time.
Sure.
Several consumer advocacy and anti-monopoly groups such as Artists' Rights Allegiance and the Open Markets Institute, Published Citizens, and the Center for Digital Democracy. Wow, that sounds important. That's right up there with CBLM.
Yeah.
And others oppose the deal. These groups warn the effects will likely be catastrophic on the radio industry. What radio industry?
Yeah.
There's no radio industry.
Yeah, apparently the radio industry is this guy's fucking inbox.
Yeah. We are the radio industry here.
Exactly.
The radio industry. Who listens to fucking radio?
Old people.
I guess.
Yeah, but like I said, there's still a lot of people. Yeah, it cracks me up that there's like a lot of people out there that they have a car that's like a 2016 or up, and they have a smartphone in their pocket, and then they bitch because they're listening to stupid Mike Trevisano and 18 minutes of commercials or whatever.
I have a USB cord that's plugged in. It's just permanent plugged into my car. And the minute I get into my car,
plug it in.
I pull out my iPhone and I plug it in.
But even in your car, you could Bluetooth if you wanted to, right?
If I wanted to, but I don't have the features, on the on-dash features unless it's plugged in.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Because I got the touch screen
All right. So you've got the, whatever that's called, iPlay or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So as soon as I plug in my phone, then I can control my phone just on the touch screen on the dash.
Right. That's pretty cool.
So that's the first thing I do. I get in the seat, pull my phone out, plug it in, buckle up, fire up that big engine, and roar out of the driveway.
Yeah. Dude, I'm the same exact way. When I go out, those rare moments when I go out in the car, first thing I do is I set the phone in the little, I got one of those little phone things that you hooked into the vent or whatever.
Yeah.
And I turn the car on, and within like 10 seconds it connects.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't connect. I turn the car off again and then try again, because I'm not driving until I'm connected to my phone. I'm not going to go to commercial radio and start listening to whatever Baskin and Phelps on 92.3 or what. I'm not listening to that horse shit.
Right.
No way.
But that's what I do. I certainly, and again, and here's fun. And Sal can vouch for this. Sal came and hung out with me over the 4th of July weekend.
Right.
And it's been so long since I played satellite radio on my car.
Mm-hmm.
That, satellite radio was free that weekend.
Right.
So I thought, okay, well, Sal and I are going to cruise out to my sister's place because we're going to go shoot guns. So I thought, okay, well, we'll just throw some music on in the background while we're just cruising. It's not like we're going to listen to the radio, just something to have some background music.
Right.
I forgot how to even tune into the satellite radio. I'm sitting there poking around on the screen. It's like, how in the fuck do I turn into that XM thing? Because it's been so long, I haven't touched it. It's been, close to 2 years.
And what do you have for an antenna? That fin thing?
It's right on the top of the car.
Is that fin looking like it looks like a shark fin?
Yeah, it looks like a shark fin. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I thought, now how in the hell do I even tune in this XM?
Right.
And I finally poked around there and finally found the setting for it, because I just automatically plug in my iPhone and, listen to what I want to.
Exactly. Well, Neeley, what's his name here? Bradley Linko in the chat room or in the YouTube chat has the answer to how radio is staying alive. They're all listening to Tradio.
Welcome to Tradio.
It's Tradio. You're next on Tradio.
Right. What do you got to sell?
Tradio.
Craigslist on the air.
Yeah. Too funny.
It is funny. All right. Anyway, these groups warn the effects will be likely catastrophic on a radio industry already stifled by consolidation. Well, nobody's listening to radio. Nobody's significant anyway.
Yeah, I mean, dude, all you need to know to know that nobody's listening is that there's no dominant person.
Yeah, nobody's listening to radio. If they are listening, and here's the other thing, I've said it here on the show a bunch of times that I listen to Mark Levin. I don't listen to him. He comes on at I think 6 o'clock or something. I'm at home by 6. I'm not listening to him and go through the commercials. The next day, I just plug my phone in on my way to work and I listen to the podcast with no commercials.
Yeah, the podcast just loads to your phone.
It's a 3-hour show, and I listen to it in like an hour and 40 minutes or something.
Right.
That all the shitty commercials take out.
Yeah. Well, and that's why I don't understand, why do people still listen to commercial radio when even shows like, I always bag on Trevisano because his show is such a bag of shit, and it really is awful. But you could literally listen to Mike Trevisano without the commercials, or without most of the commercials. They have a podcast too, and they cut out most of that bullshit. And at least if you listen to it on demand, you can just hit 30 seconds, 30 seconds, 30 seconds to skip the commercials, if you wanted to. I don't get why anybody listens to it at all. Most of the radio shows are on podcasts now. And most of them, other than a beginning roll and an end roll, that's it. So you can just, and this is, maybe I'm a dork. I probably am with it, but for every one of the podcasts that I have on my phone, I know how much commercial time they have on their, on their their thing, whether it's 30 seconds or 60 seconds, or in some cases 90 seconds. And I use Pocket Casts on my phone, and you can configure for each show to start playing, skip the first whatever seconds. So even with our show, because we have the commercials from Spreaker, I have our show set to start playing at 60 seconds. So if I go to listen to one of our shows, I hit play and it skips the commercials, and we still get paid. So what do I give a fuck? We still get paid because I downloaded them already.
Right.
So that's, it's, you can skip the commercial horseshit that you don't want to hear in the first fucking place, unless you're listening to stuff like Trunk, or Trunk will be like, yeah, Mike Portnoy is going to be next on the show after I do 30 minutes of telling you about me. But before I tell you about me, let me tell you about what I was doing yesterday. I was eating the Impossible Whopper over Burger King, 2 for $6.
It was impossible for me to even finish the first bite.
It was impossible. All right. But let me tell you, you could get one too. They're 2 for $6 right now at your Burger King, open 24 hours, even during the pandemic. BurgerKing.com. And now, guys, let's get back to whatever. Mike Portnoy. He is so bad with those commercials.
He likes to get paid, I guess.
Yeah. That's like, did I tell you that Spreaker's trying to get us to add more commercials to our show?
I wasn't aware, no.
Yeah, they changed some new thing. I just saw it yesterday, that now when you go into the back end, all of them have a big red $ X on them. And when you click it, it says, you don't have enough mid-roll commercials in your show. You should insert mid-roll commercials into your show.
Well, I guess that's for the people who are interested in making some bank.
Yeah, I just was like, no, we're not doing that.
Yeah.
I don't mind making a little bit, but Jesus Christ, we're not going to fucking pollute the show with every 10 minutes. Hey, here's another commercial. Fuck that. It's bad enough that we have to do the ones we do.
You said doo-doo.
Doo-doo, of course.
Yep. All right. What is perhaps the most dangerous is the sudden ability for one man and one company to control soup to nuts the trajectory of the music industry.
Yeah.
This right-wing billionaire holds the strings to the series of companies that control touring, concerts, festivals, ticketing, radio, and podcasts.
Good.
So what is this guy not interested in making money on all of those platforms? So he's going to say, you know what? I think Metallica is evil. I'm not going to support their tour. No, he's going to say, Metallica brings in $1 billion on a tour. Yeah. Fuck yeah. I'm going to put them at the front of the list.
Yeah. Rage Against the Machine. You would make me money, but nah, I'm not going to let you play my venues. Yeah, that's not going to happen.
No.
Look, the reason this guy is a billionaire that could afford to buy every bit of fucking media in the country is because he never says no to money.
Yeah.
That's his first and foremost. He doesn't give a fuck about politics. All he wants is money.
Yeah. Hey, this is a good gamble for us to support this tour.
Yeah. He's going to make money. That's what this guy does. And I guarantee you, if he got voted into any kind of office, they'd hate him every bit as much as Trump, because I guarantee you he is a cutthroat motherfucker.
Of course. He's a boardroom cutthroat like Trump.
Yeah.
This is how the guy becomes a billionaire and buys up all these properties.
Mm-hmm.
It's not out of ideology.
Right.
And that Rage Against the Machine is a good example. Yeah, I hate those guys. Fuck those guys. I'm gonna make sure they don't see a stage ever.
Yeah, please. That guy, a Rage Against the Machine tour will bank probably $100 million because they haven't toured in a really long time. And it'll make more than that, but it'll make whoever the promoter is $100 million. I can promise you, this guy that's pro-Trump and whatever will be right there fucking being a hypocrite, putting them on a stage, and they'll be right there on that stage being hypocrites, taking that guy's money.
Yeah, of course.
They're not going to turn down the tour. He's not going to turn down the message on his stages. Stop it. Because in the end, none of these guys give two fucks about their politics.
Yeah, it's not about ideology. It's about making a buck.
Yeah, that's all they give a fuck about is making $1.
Mm-hmm. Let's see here. Where would I leave off here? The potential for monopoly, exclusion, and even social engineering are suddenly tangible. Live Nation alone controls the landscape of touring and has expanded into artist management in recent years. A Justice Department person declined to comment. So, all right.
Yeah, well, good for this guy, I guess. You know, I don't know. It's weird because there's really, I'm going to say this and I'm probably going to regret saying it later. There's really not any way it could get any worse. But, you know, with one guy owning all of it, but who knows?
Well, what does he own? He owns a dying medium. That's what he owns.
And the concert industry will be back.
But how does politics play into the concert industry?
Well, again, you got your Rage Against the Machines.
Yeah, but is he going to somehow say, yeah, I don't like your message, so you can't put it on stages? No.
He's a profiteer. He's going to profit first. But what could happen, and again, I don't think it can get any worse, but it could. The same thing could happen with this guy is what happened with Fox News. You know, with the Fox News was on fire, destroying everybody.
And they still do.
But to less of an extent.
Yeah, to less of an extent, but
the kids got in there. Because the kids took over the business. And who's to say what this guy's kids are? You know, he's an old fuck. He's not going to be, you know, sitting in the boardroom fucking checking spreadsheets on Live Nation tours. You know, at some point his kids are going to take over.
Right. Absolutely.
And then God knows what you get, you know, or the kids will hire or he'll hire the wrong guy or so. I mean, who knows? I guess there's ways it could get worse, but I don't know, man. You know, I mean, I'll tell you what scares me about one entity owning any of this stuff is the podcast industry. Not that I give two fucks about iHeart. I'm more worried about satellite radio being scooped up because XM has been buying up podcast companies, or Sirius has been buying up podcast companies lately, trying to make their stand. They're trying, them and Spotify are buying up the podcasting companies. And if this one guy owns that, and again, we get into maybe not him, but his next, next in lines are a little more ID, SJW.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, they could start shutting down a lot of the ways that people get their media today.
Well, kind of like what YouTube is doing.
Same thing.
Yeah, same thing. But there will always be somebody else who sprouts up, though.
Yeah, I hope so. You know, I mean, I hope so. But for now, we'll just keep on keeping on, I guess.
Well, apparently, again, this goes to show you how, desperate, a Live Nation is looking to make some money, especially now during the pandemic and all. Our friend Matt Barth from Cincinnati sent over a little thing about what the Live Nation is trying to do to make some money. There's a popular venue, little concert venue in Cincinnati. I've been there a couple of times. It's called Bogart's.
I've been to Bogart's.
And they're advertising, put your message in lights and show your love with a custom Bogart's marquee. So you could rent their marquee out in front of their venue.
Great.
And put your message on it. Just do that. Hail and kill, fuck you, pal, the classic metal show. Whether it's an announcement, a proposal, a wedding anniversary, birthday, or graduation message, we will make it one to remember. Reach out to our special events team at bogartsevents@livenation.com.
Right.
Or call this number for more info.
So, and that's Bogart's that's doing it, or Live Nation?
Well, it's Live Nation, but they probably own the Bogart's, concert hall.
Jeez, oh man,
they probably own the little venue.
That's pretty pathetic there.
Mm-hmm.
New breaking news on the scroll.
Bogarts and Live Nation are cheap fucks. Or are they opportunist fucks?
Probably a little of both, but yeah, I wonder what they charge for that. I would be curious to know what they charge for that.
Yeah, you can put your message on a marquee.
Mm-hmm.
Well, look at us. We got our own Chiron. Maybe we should start charging money for that.
Yeah, $25, people. I'll put your message on our scroll there.
Yeah, put it on the Chiron. Breaking news.
Yeah, pew 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 pew. Phil still doesn't like black people. Pew 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 pew.
$25.
$25, Phil.
Yeah, we'll put it on our scrolling Chiron at the bottom of our screen there.
That's right.
Yeah, there you go. There's some innovative ways to start cashing in.
Mm-hmm.
We got a platform. We got people watching.
Yeah.
You could pay us a few shekels. We'll put your little message on the bottom of our Chiron and people will see it.
Yeah. Too funny.
I like it. That's PayPal.
Yeah, let's just monetize it. Let's get David Ortiz back involved here. We got a new product he can sell.
Yeah, sell our special message, will you? Get your special message on there.
I can see David right now. He'd be like, when you click on those comments, we could get $10 a piece for those. And if you put their logo up instead of your logo, I'm thinking $50.
Right, of course.
$100 for a whole segment.
There you go. Yeah. Just give me 40% of the take, will you?
Exactly. Why am I shitting on that guy? The guy tried it. I'm shitting on him anyway.
Really did. No, you're not shitting on him. You're just using that as an example.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm sure you're well aware that a couple of weeks ago that the NASCAR driver Bubba Wallace,
yeah,
he cried foul, saying that the pull string on his garage door was racist because it looked like a noose.
That's right. Well, it wasn't. It didn't look it. It was very racist.
Yeah, I'm sure it was. Even though all of them had the same pull string on it.
Neeley, he's a black man. It was racist.
All right. So NASCAR's Bubba Wallace, who no one ever heard of until his noose problem.
Mm-hmm.
He crashes as Confederate flags fly in and around the racetrack.
It's a white conspiracy, Neeley.
Of course it is.
He used to be able to hold the road until they put those white wall tires on his car.
Yeah, and of course. Raised white letters.
That's right.
NASCAR's Cup Series All-Star race was not a good one for Bubba Wallace. Appearing at the qualifier held on Wednesday in Bristol, Tennessee, Wallace was booed. Then he crashed into a wall.
Bang.
Was it because he was booed that he crashed into a wall, or was it just a simultaneous thing that happened?
I don't know.
He was booed.
That's why.
Breaking news: Bubba Wallace crashes into a wall after being booed at the Bristol Raceway.
There's your breaking news.
All right.
Damn.
Black or white, Bubba Wallace still can't drive.
It's breaking news.
I like the Chiron thing.
It's fun.
It's just like watching Fox News.
It's so fun, and I could just do anything on the fly.
As quality as the camera is and everything, I think I like the Chiron the best.
Great. Spend all this time designing it up, making these graphics and shit. And you're like, yeah, I like the scroll the best.
I like the breaking news message. I think of Nathan from Kentucky specifically about the whole breaking news.
Of course.
Breaking news. I like it.
It's funny.
It was the first time a significant number of fans were present at a NASCAR race since the Confederate flag was banned. Several thousand fans were on hand, and so was the flag.
Right.
Jana Fryer, the Associated Press auto racing reporter, tweeted that many Confederate flags were sighted in and around the Bristol Motor Speedway. God damn those people.
How dare they?
Racists.
Bastards.
Speaking of that, I was watching one of the older movies popped up. I think it was on Amazon that I watched. It was Tom Cruise. It was Days of Thunder.
Oh yeah, that is.
Yeah. Well, they prominently showed the Confederate flag in that movie because obviously it's a NASCAR movie.
Needs to be canceled. Needs to be canceled.
Well, I was wondering, are they going to edit that movie so they can take out all the Confederate flag shots in the movie?
Either that or they'll remake it with all black people. Show them standing during the black national anthem.
They'll ask Bubba Wallace to play the Tom Cruise part.
He'll be the lead.
Because he was crashing into walls early on in the movie before he actually became a good driver.
Right. He'd be perfect for the role.
Yeah.
He'll be cast out of the Fast and Furious because they don't seem to crash.
Right. FWIW, in addition to the Confederate flag flying over Bristol, there was another hanging off of a balcony of a condo across from the main entrance, as well as others along the Speedway Boulevard.
There was another hanging of a flag or a person?
No, flag.
Oh, okay.
There was another flag hanging.
I was going to say, maybe Bubba has a point.
Yeah. Speaking to Matt Harrison, he says many flags on the shirts and other items were in the stands. This guy took on a fight that was just not wise. No, just dumb.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? NASCAR has been around for 6, 8, 10 decades, whatever it is.
Right.
Years, I don't know, but that's just been a tradition. It's a Southern thing, It's just a Southern tradition. It's just like, I don't think it meant racist. It's just Southern pride. It's, they were into NASCAR came out of bootleggers.
Right.
They were bootlegging, moonshine.
Right.
And that's how that came about. But that's a lot of that happened in the South. And it wasn't about, oh, I hate niggers. It was about, hey, we're just good old boys. It was the Dukes of Hazzard.
Yeah. Never meaning no harm.
No. Just dumb.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Fryer also reported that Wallace, NASCAR only top tier African-American driver and prominent in the news when reports surfaced of a noose found in his garage at another track. He was booed when he was introduced and had fans cheer when he crashed. I love it. Cancel culture the other way.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, fuck that guy. You guys don't know anything about fun. We're having fun. What is it with liberals and they just like to suck the fun out of the room?
Oh, that's what they do.
Nothing can be fun.
Mm-hmm.
No fun anymore.
No.
Bubba Wallace was also booed when he was introduced. And many cheered when he crashed. NASCAR still has a lot of work to do to back up his position.
That's right.
Yeah, fuck that. People are going to say, you know what? I'm done with this. Just like a lot of people are saying they're done with football.
Yeah. There's a lot of people saying that. That's for sure.
Done with that. The group Justice for Diversity held signs along the Speedway Boulevard after the race. Wolf Blitzer.
It is.
Breaking news. Love it.
Too funny.
Wallace made an appearance on Thursday night's episode of Showtime's Deuces and Miro talk. I don't know what that talk show, and defended his role in NASCAR's efforts to ban on the Confederate flag.
Yeah.
NASCAR's banned the flag on June 10th, the same day Wallace drove a car supporting Black Lives Matter, that's certain Black Lives Matter movement in Martinsville, Virginia.
Right.
We always want to pay attention to the negative, but the narrative that's been out there now is saying all NASCAR fans are racist and whatnot, and that's totally not true.
Yeah.
Said on the show, I've gone down in the infield at the Talladega, wherever it's at, Daytona, Texas, Michigan, and I never knew if people were flying the Confederate flag. We would go there and drink beer and have a good time and hang out. It wasn't like they don't want you there.
Right.
That's what it boiled down to. It's like, we're just having some fun. Fuck off.
Yeah, we just want to watch a car drive in a circle. Why are you turning it into this political thing, you dick?
Yeah. I bet he's got to regret. He's got to regret making a false accusation and then, asking for the flag to be banned and all that bullshit.
Don't you think that part of this is that they all see, and by they, I mean anybody that's crying for this race thing, whether it's him or Smollett or whatever, that they see Kaepernick cashing in and they're all, trying to get their little piece of the pie?
Yeah, probably.
That's what I would think it is.
Yeah, well, fortunately, that kind of shit has a shelf life. People are all on board because they're afraid that they might be labeled something. But it's like the pandemic. People were always all freaked out about this pandemic in the first couple of months. Now everybody's over it. They're just like, yeah, fuck that.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm done with this. Next, move on.
Right.
Nothing to see here, folks. Time to move on. So screw them. Screw them. Eat concrete, Bubba Wallace. I hope that all tastes good. Cock smoker. All right. Well, let's take a short break.
All right.
What would you like to hear?
How's about if we go with how about if we go with Ride on a Dream by Bonham?
Okay. You know what that was off of by any chance?
Maddest Hatter.
Oh, okay. All right, I do. I definitely have that. Let's see here. Bonham.
Dum dum dum.
Yeah. Well, I like the setup, Chris. You did a good job.
I love this. It's so it's so night and day. The best part of it is I don't have to do shit.
Right.
Like it's done. Like all the processing, all those hours are done. I like the first segment is already on the hard drive, just waiting for me to upload it to Vimeo.
Okay.
It's fucking done. I love it.
Very
so
cool.
Great.
All right. What was the name of the tune you wanted?
The name of the tune was Ride on a Dream.
Let's see here. Oh, there it is. Number 6.
Yep.
All right. Well, we're going to play a couple of tunes. We'll come back. We'll do some more stuff. So here it is. It's Bonham exclusively here
on your classic metal show.